Attention passionate Detroit, Lions fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Detroit Lions' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Detroit Lions fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Detroit Lions fans. Let's get to the news. Alright, Lions fans, buckle up because we're diving deep into what could be a pivotal offseason for Detroit, one that might just set the stage for another playoff push in 2025 and beyond. The Lions, as many of you already know, had a pretty solid 2024 season, finishing with a winning record and making their usual splash in the NFC North. But as we all know, the NFL is a league where every offseason brings new challenges, new opportunities, and the chance to reshape your roster to stay ahead of the pack. And that's exactly what Detroit is looking to do this year. Despite losing some key assistants in the recent coaching shakeup, the Lions managed to keep the core of their roster intact, which is a huge plus. They didn't make a ton of big moves in free agency, but they did make smart investments, re-signing essential players like Kirby Joseph and Derek Barnes to long-term deals, which signals their commitment to stability and growth. Both players have shown flashes of brilliance, and locking them in for the future is a smart move, especially as the team looks to build around their young stars. But here's where things get interesting. The Lions aren't just sitting back and hoping their current roster will carry them through. No, they're actively exploring ways to get even better, especially on the defensive side of the ball, where they want to keep building a relentless pass rush that can trouble any quarterback. Now, they did add some new faces, veteran cornerback DJ Reed and rookie defensive tackle Tyleik Williams, who will bring depth and fresh energy. Still, when you look at their defensive line, particularly the pass rush, there's a clear need for more firepower. Aiden Hutchinson is already established as one of the premier young pass rushers in the league, but opposite him, the Lions are still searching for that consistent, game-changing presence. Right now, Marcus Davenport is leading the race, but the guy's been hampered by injuries, playing just 6 games over the last 2 seasons. Behind him, options like Josh Paschal and rookie Ahmed Hassanian feel a bit underwhelming given the expectations at this stage. So naturally, speculation is swirling about whether Detroit might look to make a bold move, perhaps a blockbuster trade, to secure a top-tier pass rusher. And one name that keeps coming up is Trey Hendrickson from the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Hendrickson isn't just any pass rusher. He's coming off a monster season where he racked up 17.5 sacks, leading the NFL in that category. This guy is a proven game wrecker, a player who can instantly elevate any defense. And for a team like Detroit, with more than $40 million in cap space remaining, making a move for a player of Hendrickson's caliber could be a game-changer. Imagine a scenario where the Lions trade for him, perhaps giving up a mid-round pick or a couple of day 3 selections, and then signing him to a long-term deal. It's a move that could solidify their pass rush and allow Hutchinson to flourish even more, creating a dual threat that opposing offenses would have a hard time containing. Of course, such a trade wouldn't be without its complexities. The Lions would need to structure Hendrickson's contract carefully, making sure they don't limit their flexibility for future extensions, especially for Hutchinson, who's already shown he can be a cornerstone for years to come. But with his recent production, age, just 30 years old, and the fact that he's been a consistent Pro Bowl selection, it's a risk worth considering. Plus, with the NFL's evolving rules favoring the pass rush, having a duo of Hutchinson and Hendrickson would keep Detroit competitive at the highest level. Now, beyond adding a star pass rusher, the Lions are also looking at their offensive line, which took a bit of a hit earlier in June when veteran center Frank Ragnow announced his retirement. That was a shock for many fans, especially considering how crucial Ragnow has been to their offensive success. But as always, Detroit has a plan. They've already drafted Tate Ratledge, a talented interior lineman from Georgia, in the 2nd round of the 2025 draft. If Ratledge develops as expected, he could step into the starting role and fill the void left by Ragnow. Still, relying solely on a rookie to anchor the line is a big gamble, especially in a division where interior pass rushers and defensive tackles are increasingly dominant. That's why the Lions are reportedly eyeing veteran interior players, And one name that's generating buzz is Cade Mays from the Carolina Panthers. Mays is a versatile lineman who can play both guard and center, and his performance last season was impressive, allowing 0 sacks and just 10 pressures over nearly 500 snaps at center. The Lions could look to acquire him, perhaps offering a day 3 pick, and see if he can develop into a reliable starter. The beauty of Mays is his flexibility. He could compete with Rattledge and veteran Graham Glasgow for a starting spot, and with some coaching, he might even become a long-term solution at guard or center. It's all about depth and competition, and Detroit recognizes that if they want to contend deep into the playoffs, they need a resilient, versatile offensive line. But it's not just the defense and the offensive line that fans should be watching. The NFC North is getting more competitive by the year. The Vikings, Packers, and Bears are all making moves, investing in young talent, and trying to carve out their own paths to success. The Vikings, for example, are focusing on developing their young quarterback and beefing up their defense. The Bears are sticking with their rebuild, adding explosive playmakers on offense and shoring up their secondary. The Packers are in a bit of a transitional phase, but are still a dangerous team with a talented roster and a veteran quarterback looking to prove he still has what it takes. What does this mean for Detroit? Well, it means that every move they make in the offseason needs to be calculated, strategic, and aggressive when necessary. The Lions are at a crossroads. They have a talented roster, a good coaching staff led by Dan Campbell, who's proven to be one of the most charismatic and effective leaders in the league, and a clear vision of what they want to accomplish. But to take that next step, to truly challenge the division rivals and compete for a deep playoff run, they need to address their weaknesses, especially on defense, and perhaps add a few more proven playmakers. Now, let's talk about some of the players who could make a real difference if these moves come to fruition. Aiden Hutchinson, as I mentioned, is already a star. His relentless motor, combined with his ability to rush the passer from multiple angles, makes him one of the most promising young defenders in the league. Developing a complementary pass rusher like Hendrickson, or even a player like Kayvon Thibodeaux from the Giants could turn the Lions' defense into a nightmare for quarterbacks. Thibodeaux, for example, hasn't yet fully realized his potential, but his pass rushing skills are undeniable. With 21 sacks over 3 seasons and a single 5-sack season in 2023, he's shown flashes of brilliance. If Detroit can acquire him, possibly for a day 2 pick, they could unlock a whole new level of pass rush potency. And speaking of Thibodeaux, the Giants might be open to trading him, especially given their own roster needs and draft priorities. Thibodeaux's cap hits are manageable, around $9.97 million in 2025 and $14.75 million in 2026, and he's a young player with room to grow. Imagine pairing him with Hutchinson, creating a duo that could terrorize offenses for years. That kind of talent injection could dramatically alter the Lions' defensive outlook, making them not just playoff contenders but serious Super Bowl contenders. But of course, all these potential moves are hypothetical until they happen. Detroit's front office will need to weigh the cost, the cap implications, and the long-term vision. They have the capital and the draft assets to make bold moves, but patience and strategic planning will be key. And let's not forget, the NFL is a league where chemistry, coaching, and execution matter just as much as talent on paper. So, while these trade rumors and signings are exciting, it's the team's ability to gel, adapt, and push through adversity that will ultimately determine their success. Now, looking at the broader picture, the NFC North has become a battleground. The Lions have established themselves as a formidable force, but the others are closing in. The Vikings are building around their young quarterback, Justin Jefferson, and a defense that's improving by the year. The Bears, with their high draft capital and aggressive approach, are trying to turn their rebuild into a winner. The Packers, despite their transitional phase, still have Aaron Rodgers' successor and a roster loaded with talent. So the Lions' challenge is to stay ahead of this pack, to outthink and out-execute their rivals. And that's where the offseason becomes crucial. Every signing, every trade, every draft pick could be the difference between a deep playoff run and an early exit. Detroit has shown they're willing to be aggressive, trading for players, extending contracts, and making strategic draft picks. They understand that to break through the NFC's elite, they need to be proactive, not reactive. The move for a star, pass rusher, or an experienced interior lineman could be the final piece of their puzzle. And as fans, we should be excited because the Lions are not just content with mediocrity anymore. They're aiming higher, and the team's leadership is clearly focused on building a roster capable of competing at the highest level. With the talent they have, the coaching staff's innovative approach, and the potential for strategic upgrades, Detroit looks poised to make some serious noise in the upcoming season. Whether it's a dominant pass rush, a resilient offensive line, or a balanced team effort, the Lions are positioning themselves for a playoff run that could extend well beyond this year. So, keep your eyes peeled, Lions fans. The offseason is just heating up, and the moves that are made now could define the franchise for years to come. Remember, this isn't just about one player or one game. It's about building a team that believes in its identity, that fights together, and that never backs down. And with Dan Campbell at the helm, leading with passion and grit, the future looks incredibly promising. The NFC North is about to get even more competitive, and Detroit is right in the middle of the action, ready to take the next step towards Super Bowl glory. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YOUTUB algorithm to keep recommending the latest Detroit Lions news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Detroit Lions fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on all these potential moves? Do you think the Lions should go all in for Trey Hendrickson? Or maybe target a younger talent like Kayvon Thibodeaux? What about the offensive line? Are you confident in Radulj stepping up? Or do you think they need to make a trade for Cade Mays or another veteran? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion really matters to us and to the future of this team. Remember, we're all in this together, supporting the Lions through every game, every season. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, more analysis, and more news about your Detroit Lions. So stay tuned, stay passionate, and let's keep the Lions' spirit alive and roaring.